Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here with someone that you've seen on Insider Travel Report before, but maybe not in these circumstances. Andrea Grisdale, who is the founder and owner of IC Bellagio, which is a tour operation that operates in Bellagio on Lake Como and actually offers luxury high-end programs throughout Italy. It's one of the best as they say, on sites around. And of course, Italy has been a hotbed, although we here in the United States seem to have taken over that mantra at this point. So we wanted to talk with Andrea about conditions in Italy and also how she's handling the crisis. You're going to find out all about that and more on Insider Travel Report. First of all, Andrea, how are you? How's your family, and is everybody health and safety? And as I said, I believe you are in Bellagio right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, James. Good to see you again. Yeah, I'm actually speaking to you from home, Bellagio, Lake Como. We are in Lombardy, in the northern part of Italy. And yeah, great to report that myself, the family, all our team at IC Bellagio, everybody is well. We're all doing our very best to make the most out of this situation, to adapt to it, to be flexible, and of course, see what opportunities it brings to us.
No, great, and it's great to see you. And if I had to isolate, Lake Como is high on that list, if not number one. I tell you, better than New York right now. Let me tell you that much. Now, second, we've all heard that obviously Italy, there was a very bad outbreak, especially in northern Italy, and
Yeah.
it was seen initially until we overtook it here in New York as a hotbed of the coronavirus. What are conditions like now where you are?
So, James, right now we are still in phase one until next Monday, which is the 4th of May, when phase two will begin. And right now we are seeing positive results coming through from a numbers point of view regarding, the daily number of deaths, the daily new cases, the daily recoveries, the daily new cases. Everything from a numbers point of view is looking very, very positive, and we are definitely heading towards the end of that downward curve, which is fantastic news. From our point of view, we are still home. We are smart working, as we call it here, and using technology all day long. I seem to pass from one Zoom call to a webinar call to a WhatsApp video call throughout my entire day, but that's okay. The important thing is to stay in touch. And, we're enjoying some amazing home cooked food. We're emptying our wine cellars. Thank goodness phase two is coming up. And, we're just really trying to live by the rules. We can go to the grocery stores. We can go to the pharmacy. We can go out for essential goods, of course. We can go within 200 meters of our home. So obviously with a mask and gloves, etc. And so life is not too bad. We're having the most beautiful springtime weather. I think for me, the thing that is the biggest heartache right now is looking out the window and seeing these blue skies and beautiful sunshine, and we don't get to share it with any of our international travelers.
I know, and we missed that very much. And I think you told me earlier that about 10 days ago, all your pastry shops and restaurants, bars, and of course, gelateria started to deliver to homes. Although I'm very curious about how they deliver gelato, but and that of course helped you out a little bit as well, right?
Absolutely, James. I mean, that was kind of, I can't even tell you, it's like when we get a new request right now, even if it's something very small, it's like we've just won the lottery. When we heard that we could have home delivered food from the pizzerias, the gelaterias, the pastry shops, etc., we were, again, huge celebration. And of course, what we are trying to do, both as a company and for me and my family personally, is really give support to these people. Order ice cream, order their food from the restaurant, get the pizza from the pizzeria, and also make sure that people within our community that perhaps not as lucky as we are, maybe send a little gift or something special to them as well, just to brighten their day.
But then, of course, you are in Como again. We said on Lake Como, and you can't go to other areas, other regions of Italy, right?
No, absolutely. We can't even go, to Como. I mean, I'm here in Bellagio. Como is 35 kilometers away, and I have to stay in Bellagio. But at the end of the day, as you said earlier, there's worse places to be, right?
Absolutely. Well, overlooking that lake is just stunning, and I could spend a lot of time and probably would be happy doing it at this point. And obviously, you got the same kind of, you say it's a social distancing, and you have to be at least 2 meters away and things like that with sports. And but it sounds like it's similar to what we have, but you may be on the verge of going to another phase that is a little bit more open, right?
Yeah, so James, right now we can only go 200 meters from home, and that is really walking the dog or taking the garbage. I tell you, in the beginning, it was almost like we used to get dressed up to take the garbage out just to, have something to dress up for. But from Monday, we can definitely enjoy and explore and, walk all around our community. The parks will be open again. The public gardens will be open again. The beautiful promenade here in Bellagio will be open again. I can take the dogs for, walks as long as we like. And, they're also starting very, very slowly to look at opening, things for professional sports people. For example, also from the 18th of May, they expect to open museums as well. So we are definitely in a phase which is showing us that light getting brighter and brighter towards the end of the tunnel.
Now, I don't want you to be, no one knows how this occurred so quickly and spread so fast in Italy. I'm not even sure what they've told you there. We're dealing with our own situation, but I guess, it did spread very quickly in the north of Italy for whatever reason. And now, as you said, there's more light at the end of the tunnel because the numbers are positive, right?
Yeah, absolutely, James. And, I personally think hats off to the government. I mean, who would want to be in our prime minister's shoes right now? No one. And I really do think that they went above and beyond to find the best possible outcome, from containing the numbers of people who would get affected by the virus, but also trying to be as helpful and supportive as possible to the citizens of Italy at the same time.
And of course, there's no attractions open now. There's no, you said museums are now expected to open on May 18. Bars and restaurants, maybe June 1. And of course, hairdressers and beauty salons, which, that for me is the key. If we open those, it's believe me, my haircut, I don't know if I'm going to have the haircut. And it's really encouraging when you hear that happens, right?
Tell me about it, James. I'm already bugging my hairdresser and the beauty salon saying, please give me the first appointment any time of day or night. I will be there and I will be very happy. But yeah, that's looking like the 1st of June. One other thing, James, that actually will change from Monday next week. So today, the bars, restaurants, gelateria, pastry shops, they can only deliver to us.
Right.
However, from next week, we will actually be able to go to the bars and the restaurants, etc., and pick up a delivery. So again, it's one more step. Obviously, they have rules and regulations on being 1 meter apart and things like that when you stand in line to get your food. But any excuse to get out and about and enjoy these beautiful spring days is a good one.
Well, if I remember correctly, we'd get in your little Fiat 500 and zip off to the gelateria to pick it up, right? Is that what we would do?
Absolutely. That is exactly what's going to happen. And I'll send you the video.
Okay. Now, just back to more, obviously, with the travel-related things. Hotels remain closed at this point, but is there a projected opening date for most hotels in Italy?
So many of the hotels that we're speaking to, James, and obviously these conversations are on a daily basis and nobody has a crystal ball, but we are hearing that many of them are intending to be open for the end of June. Again, that all depends on our government on phase 3, what they come out with, the instructions that we do receive from them. But this is the intention of the properties. People are ready to start, not bringing in the business. It's not about the money. It's about creating the livelihoods once again for our team members, about, thinking, if you think that last year in Italy alone, international visitor spend was over 44 billion euro. You can imagine how much the country is hurting, like so many other countries right now.
No, absolutely. Now, well, let's turn to how you're working with travel advisors here in the U.S. during this crisis. You are sort of in an off season. I mean, I mean, these days there is no off season, but uh, you're not in the high season, I guess. Did you have a lot of? Obviously, you had a lot of cancellations, and did you just move trips to later in the year, or did people really want refunds because they weren't sure they could ever travel on that?
So, James, it was looking like until the 20th of February, it was going to be an absolute mega year for us. We had an incredible year last year. And on the 20th of February, I looked at numbers and we were showing a double-digit growth that was forecast for this year. I did a big presentation in January to Virtuoso on the opportunities of overcrowding, and that was really the focus of so many of our conversations. By the time we got back to the office on Monday, the 24th of February, it was quite obvious that things were going to be very, very different. I would say that the 24th of February to the 7th of March was the most difficult period for us here in Italy as a country, because things were literally changing, not day by day, but hour by hour. You know, as a destination specialist and people on the ground and support on the ground for travel advisors, I think a huge responsibility of ours is to keep people informed and obviously to support our travel advisors in giving the right advice and information to their guests. So we were constantly updating our travel advisors, and looking back on our communications, they probably thought we were already on the grapper at 10 a.m. in the morning, because by the time we got to 4 p.m. in the afternoon, things had changed so rapidly. We did work very, very closely with our travel advisors, keeping them updated on the exact situation on what was happening here in Italy. And we had lots of long conversations. Many of them asked us to speak directly to their travelers, which we are very happy to do. And I'm really, really proud of our task force. You know, we had to reduce our team from 37 people to 11. And the 11-person task force actually worked with our travel advisors. And for all of our bookings for travelers due to travel in February, March, and April, we were able to postpone 70% of those bookings. And these are people who have agreed to support us, support Italy, and either travel in the fall or of this year or in 2021. I have to tell you, we have a lot of forward bookings for 2021.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that in terms of, people, if they're going to book for the fall and then obviously for 2021, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Our personal forecast is we believe our travelers will be back in Italy in September this year. And that is what we're working on. We're preparing some great new product, especially focused on the fall, Thanksgiving, the festive season, of course. 2021 is looking amazing, especially for our villa product as well. There is huge, huge interest in villa right now.
Yeah, and I believe you had a story about a couple from LA who's already booked their Amalfi Coast Capri hotels for the end of, even for the end of June, the beginning of July this year, right?
Yeah, I think if, thank goodness we weren't on a Zoom call and they could see it out our eyes, because Marta and I, we were like, what? And they said, no, we are coming. We are traveling. I said, okay, if you're that determined, they have 4 nights in Positano at the San Pietro, 4 nights in Capri, and we will be providing the logistics and the various experiences, and they are determined to travel. They paid their planning fee and they say, we will be there. I said, okay.
Yeah, that's great. And San Pietro is one of my favorite hotels on the Amalfi Coast. And of course, one of the things you were talking about, just a few months ago, we were talking about over tourism. And now come the high season, maybe, hopefully it'll be, for your sake, it'll be busy, but probably it won't be quite as busy as it might have been, right?
Absolutely, James. And the one thing, one of the things I'm really excited about is when our travelers, they do come in September. Can you imagine what it's going to be like being in Italy in high season and not having those crowds to deal with? I mean, talk about an opportunity. So I think this is something that we can definitely look forward to this year.
Let's talk afterwards. I think I know where I'm going in September, put it that way. I think Italy would be a wonderful place to go to in September. I've been there in the fall. It's a marvelous time of the year to visit. Let's talk about, you mentioned earlier that unfortunately you had a staff of 37. You worked it down to 11. But I guess there are programs in Italy that have helped to keep your staff financially viable, and hopefully at some point you can hire them back. Tell us a little bit what you've had to do as a company to survive this crisis.
Yeah, once again, James, hats off to the government. They immediately put a scheme available to companies like ours. And what happens is we are able to furlough our staff members, and they will receive, partial salary from the government, which is paid out of contributions that we have made over the last 20 years. And the initial furlough period was for 9 weeks, and that was called a COVID scheme. We are expecting that COVID scheme to be extended, but even if it's not, we can then pass to the original scheme, which is called Cassa Integrazione, which was actually formed by the government to help businesses in case of any kind of disaster or situation like this. And that actually lasts for 26 weeks. We can call our staff members back from one day to the next. And it really does give us the opportunity to keep these fabulous people as part of our team, and assure that they can come back as and when, obviously we can permit ourselves to be able to support them financially. So right now we obviously cut costs immediately, and then reviewed everything and cut costs even more. And literally it's all hands on deck. No job descriptions, no 9 to 5 anymore. Do whatever it takes, and let's get through this period and look forward to better times.
And also keep in contact with all your partners, both here in the States with travel advisors, with your hotels, in Italy, with your tour guides, everything like that. And you have some marvelous tour guides, believe me, who are just probably chomping at the bit to be able to guide people around these incredible parts of Italy, right?
Absolutely, James. From a traveler and travel advisor point of view, we are hosting Instagram live interviews with our partners throughout Italy. So talking to hoteliers, to guides, villa hosts, cooking lesson hosts, you name it, on Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays at 9 p.m. Every week. We also host virtual aperitivi and coffee catch-up Zoom meetings with agencies. We do it exclusively per agency. Again, it's literally a touch point, a touch base with the advisor, with the agencies, to enable us to give them, just to see each other in the eyes, be able to also catch up how they're doing, how we are doing, giving them news from Italy, etc. With our partners, we are speaking to them on a daily basis, obviously, giving them as much support as we can. And we are truly, knowledgeable is not the right word, but we have in our minds every single day how much they depend on us and how much their livelihoods depend not only on tourism in Italy, but also IC Bellagio bringing in that business to them. So any projects that we can work with them as well, we're doing a lot of training. And as IC Bellagio, we're actually about to launch a new project which is aimed at the younger traveler, the traveler aged between 30 to 45 years old. Right now, our working name for this project is Young, Cool and Hip. It's obviously not managed by myself. It's managed by Stefano. And we're creating a lot of product. We're creating a lot of, new experiences for that kind of traveler, for their expectations, and just to be able to come up with something new, something fresh, and really to extend the business that we do have to the younger traveler. I think it's going to be a great project and a great new addition to the company.
No, that sounds wonderful. And don't sell yourself short. I think we should both try that one out, because I think there'll be a lot of new experiences that we would enjoy.
You never know. We'll have to try it out, James. Next time you come back, we'll get Stefano to set up some experiences. I say we are young at heart, right?
That is absolutely true, and I'd love to experience that. Now, of course, here's something you can't control. There's no word on Airlift from the U.S. when that might restart. Right now, I gather there's really not much, if anything, but obviously that's key to getting U.S. travelers over there right now. Is that correct?
Yeah. Absolutely, James. We have no news, unfortunately, to share with you on that, but we do have our wonderful Audrey, who's part of our task force team, and she is the most up-to-date person on the planet regarding news and communication. So as and when we have news to share, we'll be back to you for sure.
No, that's key. And then, of course, here in the States, we've started to talk about, because we're such a hotbed of the coronavirus, that a lot of countries may not want us. Is there any sense in Italy that they would bar Americans from coming to visit?
Okay, if you could find me one person in Italy who would like to bar the Americans and not let them come and visit, I will pay you trips to Italy for the next 20 years.
Okay, I better get working on this. I'll find one person. There you go. I like that idea, but it's good to hear because it is a concern here all of a sudden because, I know in China now, which is coming back, they're starting to bar people from coming in, at least initially, because they're seeing some resurgence of the virus from people coming back or going into the country. So hopefully that's not other countries are going to follow as well. Let's talk a little bit about what travel advisors in the U.S. should be doing right now and in the near future, to start selling Italy as we emerge from this crisis. What's your advice?
So the first thing I would like to share, James, is they should be advising their clients not to expect that Italy is going to be on sale. Italy will not be on sale when we come back. And if anything, I believe that places like the Vatican, the Accademia, where we have the David, the Uffizi, the Last Supper, they will actually end up increasing their prices quite heavily. And that will be because obviously they will have less amount of people who can be in the room at the same time. So it's obviously a huge help also with the overcrowding situation that we had previous to, coronavirus. So I think we do need to give our guests, our travelers, a heads up on that. I would also say that even though we are in this very particular situation right now, don't wait to start planning even for 2021. We are having problems in some places getting availability confirmed. So if they do have dates, please don't hold on to that thinking they will contact us later in the year. Get everything in place and get everything booked as quickly as possible. And again, as I mentioned with the villas earlier, we are having trouble with some dates for villas. As you know, usually everybody wants the same dates. It's always the way. So if there is interest in villas from any of the clients whatsoever, please reach out as quickly as possible. Let's take a look at what is available and let's take an option and decide if we would like to go ahead and confirm, but start getting everything in place even for 2021.
Yeah, I know that's good advice. And I think you told me earlier that a lot of your drivers and guides are going to maintain 2020 rates for 2021, which is great news, right?
Absolutely, James. And this is something that we've really, really appreciated. We're literally spoken to every single person. And obviously, we are doing everything possible to support them. And we have asked them to support us in the same way and maintain those rates. We do look forward to being able to welcome as many people as possible back to Italy. And obviously, anything we can do to encourage that, we are trying to do it.
Well, in that vein, we're sort of reached the end of this interview, but is there anything more you want to tell travel advisors here in the U.S. about Italy today and what they should do to help bring back business to the country and business back to what you sell, your company?
I think, James, the thing is, we at IC Bellagio are 100% available to chat to the advisors, to give a very, very honest update on what the situation is daily here, to even get on the phone and chat with them and their clients together, answer any questions that they do have, any fears, any uncertainty. We're very, very willing to also do any interviews that they would like us to do or any podcasts. We have been creating a podcast series going through a series of themes. We are about to launch one passing region by region, which will again help support the advisor in feeling comfortable proposing all of the different regions. You may know we have 20 regions in Italy. They are all very, very different and have also much to offer. And as Italy is a country where people return to time after time after time, the opportunity to keep selling different regions and different experiences is something which is fantastic for us all.
Well, marvelous. Andrea, thank you so much for taking the time to explain what's going on with your company, with Italy right now. I know a lot of people are just chomping at the bit to go back to Italy as soon as possible, or they're going to start booking for later this year or 2021. We will definitely, it's a lost year for many of us, but believe me, we're all going to be coming back strong to Italy, hopefully very, very soon. Stay healthy, stay safe. And boy, I wish I was overlooking Lake Como right now. That would be, I think I could handle that. It's not the same looking at the Hudson River or wherever I am these days. Again, great to see you. I'm sorry we would have seen each other this year at Virtuoso in Vienna, and again, we would have seen each other probably in August, but both those events were canceled, and the Virtuoso is now going to be a virtual event. But it is great to see you online for now, and I thank you once again.
Thank you, James. It's aperitivo time now here in Italy, so I just have to drink an aperitivo for you as well. And then we'll enjoy one together very soon, wherever we may be in the world next time we meet personally.
Okay, that's a date. And I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.